Welcome to the Josh Smith podcast show. The purpose of this video is to help people with mental health issues. Today I'm joined by Andy Salter, a good friend of mine, and you'll find out where we both met. So, welcome to the humble abode of the podcast show.
It's a great little cupboard, isn't it? I like it. It reminds me of the broom cupboard. Remember on CBB?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So welcome to the podcast show, Adam.
Thank you for having me.
Let's date back to when the global pandemic came about. Now I'm sorry, people, that I've just party pooped there, but I had to just bring it up a bit because, like I say, this talk show does help people with mental health, and mental health, it just started to manifest in us when COVID-19 came around. And especially for artists and performers, anyone in the performing arts industry, they had to perform from home, sort of thing. So that must have been a bit of a challenge to do it all on a live feed or a recording.
It was. I mean, I was lucky in a sense because in 2018 and 19, just beforehand, I was in quite a good band called Soul Jacker. Reputation, and we were gigging all the time. If we weren't gigging, we were rehearsing. If we weren't rehearsing, we were recording. And we signed an independent record deal with a label in Liverpool. Released our first single, which won an award in the USA, quite surprisingly. And we just started recording an album. And as the lockdown came in, so we really did go from one extreme to the other. Like you say, we went from being out all the time and doing stuff all the time, which occupies your mind, to this lockdown situation. Now, we had quite a large online following, so I was invited to do a lot of online stuff, but quite a lot of it was on my own, acoustic, in my home. When certain restrictions were lifted and stuff like that, we were invited to go as a bubble unit to do certain online gigs as a full band, but it was never really the same, and it cost us a lot. We were just on the cusp really of going to that next level. I mean, we were shortlisted to play festivals like Glastonbury, Download, the Isle of Wight festival, game changer festivals, and everything got cancelled. So during that period in the lockdown, I did try to occupy myself as much as possible with all this online stuff, but it also gave me a lot of time still alone at home, and so a lot of suppressed issues started to come out. I'd already been diagnosed with PTSD and BPD previously, but I'd managed to maintain it with medication and with keeping busy. But once I had all that time alone, the demons really started to come out, and I've never been the same since. And I think that was the case with a lot of people. We had that period of time where we could let all these demons sort of take over our minds, and even though we'd come out of lockdown a couple of years, 2-3 years ago now, I've never got back in the game the same way. I struggle with crowds. To be honest with you, those issues have only seemed to grow more and more over time. I was having therapy with Mind. That went into administration and that stopped. So I started seeing a neuro-linguistic practitioner once a week. He's been great. I'm on heavy medication now. And to be honest, I really struggle with day-to-day things. And I've got a lot of good friends and a close family network, that know who I am and what I can do, and they say, you know, you can get it back, but it really is an uphill struggle. Doing things like this with you, I think it's great. You know, it's good for awareness, isn't it? It's a bit of therapy.
Well, of course, yeah. That's what I said to Adam. I said my talk show is becoming more like a place for people just to air out, get something off their chest, and that a consultation room sort of thing. Because the comments that I got when I posted the logo, the picture of me years ago and that, and then the sign there that you can see on the video, people were popping up and that, but talking about like bereavement and, you know, anxiety and depression and that, and trying to feel better in themselves, and so obviously getting up in the morning and feeling a bit sluggish and that, and not the best. And a video that I made a while back about affirmation, and I decided to go actually public on that on the video yesterday. So and I'm hoping that helped people to get up in the morning and feel a bit better and say a few phases. The phases like, I'm going to have a good day today. There's challenges are going to come my way, and I'm going to take on them, and I'm going to improve my way of thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Different phrases like that.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, my angel, my saving grace, what makes me get up in the morning is my dog. I absolutely use my best mate. I love him to bits. Spartan. He's a Staffy Husky cross, and honestly, if he wasn't around, I don't know where I would be right now. But he is the reason I get up in the mornings. I have to take him out. I have to feed him, and believe me, I do, because he whinges and whines. If I don't, he has got that husky whine. You know, he lets you know when he wants something. And he is almost like a therapy dog in a sense. That was never the intention.
No, of course.
But he's ended up being like a therapy dog, and I highly recommend to anybody really who struggles with anxiety, depression, or any of the various disorders that are around, the vast amount that are around. You know, get yourselves a dog.
Yeah.
It helps. It helps a lot.
Pet therapy, isn't it? I mean, in these places, you know, these care homes, they bring these pets in, you know, pets for home, and they come in, they bring all these different type of breeds of pets, breed of dogs, and they just fall in love with them. It's company, companionship for those couple of hours.
It's so true, mate. It's so true. Whenever I go out anywhere with him, and I do try to take him as many places as I can, he gets so much attention. You know, everyone loves him. It's great. It's great. And well, you can see him smiling just talking about him. You know, he's a fantastic little therapist for me, and I can talk to him as well. He never says nothing and butts in. He's great.
The Spartan is a hero in my eyes, and so are you. Do you know what's going to come next from my mouth? It definitely is. It's your walk. You and your dog did the dog walk for
the Samaritans. Yeah, the Samaritans. Yeah, we did that last year. There was a campaign online, walk 50 miles in a month for the Samaritans, and he was the star of the show, Spartan. We absolutely smashed our miles target and the financial target. We got loads of support from loads of people. It surprised me, to be honest with you. It just kept going up and up and up. And obviously the Samaritans is a fantastic cause as well. But yeah, thank you. I'll take the chance now to say thank you to everyone who donated, and I think you did yourself.
I did, yeah.
You did yourself.
I've been following the work, seeing the pictures.
Yeah, well, I thought it was a fun thing to do, because there was a group online for everyone that was doing it, and you know, with it being for the Samaritans, as you can imagine, a lot of the people involved were people dealing with their own issues in their own ways. So I took it upon myself to do daily videos. You know, I'd film the walks, film him running around, his little wiggly butt going down the road and that, like, and put a bit of music to it and stuff like that. And they seemed to go down well and cheer people up when they saw them, and help raise money and awareness, like I say, for a great charity too.
Visualisation has been a big impact in my life. Anything visual. I learned from visual. You know, I've done very well and that with it. The theory side of things can be it's hard. I mean, you know, it's having the patience to be writing things down and stuff like that, and going through all sorts of exams, going back in the past. As it say, it's just because it's easier. I don't know, but the brain's very clever, and it's mad at, like, you go, you're a bit rusty on the theory side, so the visual side, just focus more on that, and then build your way with the theory side. But visualization is a big thing in it.
Definitely. I mean, that's it. Going back to my musician side of life, one of the first things I remember when I was a kid was the Money for Nothing video by Dire Straits. Do you remember that? Where it was like the 3D animation,
yeah.
and that captivated me. Now the song is a great song, but it was the video that got my attention, and I think it got a lot of people's attention. You know, the whole. That's when MTV was a thing. It was a bit of a big deal. I mean, you watch it now, and unfortunately, it's there's not too much great stuff on it, is there? But I do remember when I was a kid, I probably would never have got into music if it wasn't for music videos, and I've always liked that combination of the two things, like audio and visual. It's just the ultimate captivation, isn't it? You can get both two types of audiences in one go.
Definitely, yeah. And with people's reactions as well, people get to react to your reactions.
Yeah, definitely. And that carried right through up to the Souljacker days and some of the solo music I've done. If you go on YouTube and look for Mr. Andy Salter, you'll find some of the music videos we've done. They were always a very important part of what we did. I'd like to think we make good music too, but you know, we try to do good videos as well. And we had a great guy called Mike Briley who did a lot of our videos. He was traditionally a wedding video maker, and we started chatting online. I said, do you want to do some music videos? And he blew us away with what he could do. He did some great stuff for us. But when I started doing solo stuff, I got a bit more DIY with it and started doing it myself, because as you know, what you can do with phones nowadays is quite phenomenal.
Remarkable. My favourite question to ask my guests when they come on: where did it all start? What was the teenage life? What was the kidulthood life of Andy Salter?
Well, it's funny really, because I didn't particularly enjoy my teenage years, because we moved to a tiny little village in the middle of nowhere, and it was the 80s and the 90s, so we didn't have social media. We were very limited on TV. We didn't have a lot of money, so I wasn't spoiled with computer systems or consoles or anything like that. So I literally had to find my own entertainment. I used to love listening to the radio. I listened to Steve Lamacq and John Peel, and I would hear a lot of new bands and acts that way. That was our only source really. We didn't have YouTube and stuff, did we? And out of boredom and isolation, I started creating my own music. So it did start from quite a young age, from about 13. And I had the next door neighbour who was quite well off, who had quite a well off family, and I managed to convince him to be my drummer. So I got him to buy a drum kit and a mixing desk, and but it was actually a Tascam 414 for all the music geeks out there, an old 4-track recorder. And he never played many drums, but I spent many hours in his garage just recording stuff myself, and I did demos after demos after demos. I've got no idea where any of those cassettes are now. I would love to find some of them. I know they're gone, I'll never find them, but I spent so long recording stuff. And I used to design my own little artwork on the cassette cases and that, you know, and give them out to my friends and that, you know, to listen to. And it never really left me, but it was because of that boredom and isolation in a village that didn't have many buses running through, it didn't have many kids my age, that I started doing it. And as much as I can look back on that and think of it as a negative, I would never have got probably into music. If I did, who knows what would it have been like if I got brought up in Ellesmere Port, my teenage years, you know. I'd have been a different person, probably, you know. I don't know whether that would have been better or worse. I'm not sure. I'd probably end up being a scally, you know, to be quite honest.
Were the teenage years good?
Like I say, I spent a lot of time alone.
Really?
I mean, I did get taken to judo classes, and I did play for a couple of local football teams, but that was kind of it. When I got home from school, unless I could get a lift off my parents to go somewhere, there was very, very little I could do. Like I said, I did get taken to judo on a Tuesday evening, which I did quite well with, and we used to play football at the weekends, but that really was it. Whereas now, if I look at my nieces and nephews, they're very, very active, you know. My sisters, they make sure they're busy all the time. So like I say, I'm not sure whether it's good, bad, right or wrong, but I spent a lot of time alone. And it's a tough one. Like I say, at the time, I probably thought it was horrible, but it wouldn't have led me to the things I've done in the future, you know, with bands and stuff like that. I knew from quite a young age that I was I could play instruments by ear. You know, I never had any lessons or anything like that. I could listen to something and I could generally work it out. But yeah, it was bittersweet, bittersweet teenage years. That's the best way to put it. It was good times and bad times.
I was watching Live Aid on YouTube, and because it came up on the shorts on YouTube of Freddie Mercury getting the crowd with that "Hello," whatever it is he was singing, just noises, just making mad noises, but got the crowd together. It just because he wanted to do a song to get the crowd involved with. He wanted to involve the crowd.
He was the ultimate performer, wasn't he, Freddie Mercury? Let's be honest, and that gave them their second big, which immortalised them. I mean, my dad actually went to go and see them live in the 70s, I think maybe twice, and they'd had Bohemian Rhapsody out and stuff like that, which was obviously quite iconic, but they were actually starting to dip in form before Live Aid, and that performance, which was obviously for a great cause as well, just brought Queen back into the limelight. Freddie Mercury, he's definitely up there as one of the best front men ever, isn't he?
Phenomenal, yeah. 80s is the era of music, the greatest era of music.
Well, I would say I'd have to say the 90s for me personally, yeah, because I was a bit young then in the 80s, and it was the 90s. I become a teenager, and we were spoilt really for bands in the 90s. Once that sort of indie wave,
the indie
wave and the Britpop, and that was without a shadow of a doubt the biggest influence on me personally. When I started hearing these bands, you know, like Oasis, you know, the local bands like Space, Manson from Chester, the Blue Tones, Cast, you know, you heard the backstories that, you know, there were all these like kids originally from estates nearby, and it made me think, that's a possibility, that's something I could do. You know, and then I delved a little bit deeper into what their influences were, and I started listening to stuff from across the water, like Nirvana and Soundgarden and the grunge bands, and there was just so much guitar music in the 90s that if that never happened, then I definitely probably wouldn't have got into music, you know. I already had that thing going on, I was a creative, so to speak, but once I started hearing this wave of bands coming along, I was like, you know what, I want to be in a band. And there was a couple of kids in my years in high school that started a band, and I remember seeing them on like a lunchtime performance. I was like, yeah, this is definitely what I'm going to do. And then from 15 years old I started playing in bands myself, and never really looked back until like the sort of COVID times. That's when it all changed.
For anyone that wants to get into a band and start one, you know, they're musically inclined now, they practice that much, and now they want to take that leap. What's the advice to give to them?
Nowadays, I don't know, because the industry has declined
it has
dramatically.
changed,
Long gone are the days of people buying records, you know, not many people listen to the radio. Programs like Top of the Pops are gone. You know, when I grew up I was like, I want to be on Top of the Pops, I want to be on TFI Friday, The White Room, Jules Holland. None of this stuff's there anymore. The outlets aren't there. I dare say the internet killed the industry in so many ways. It just become on demand, and I'd say anyone sort of Gen Z onwards, I hate saying Z, but this is what they call it. They expect everything now for nothing, and it's killed it off. I mean, I've lost a lot of faith in the industry since the likes of Spotify came along. I mean, they pay out 0.003 US cents per stream. You know, you work that out, and I've had tracks that have had 1 million streams. Where's the money? And that's it's not what you do it for, but it would be nice to be able to make a living out of it. And as for the stuff that we release with Souljacker under record labels, I don't get a penny of that. Obviously we signed all that away when we signed the deals. So I would say nowadays, if you're into music and you want to make a career out of music, you've probably got to play cover versions in pubs and the likes of wedding bands, things like that. They can make a fortune, but the creative side now and the songwriting side, it's very much on the side, if you get me. It's so hard to make money writing your own music and performing your own music now, unless of course you're at a level where, you know, you're getting millions of streams every day and selling out massive sold out gigs every night. And if you look at the sort of music industry tree nowadays, you know, you've got this elite at the top, your Taylor Swifts, your Justin Biebers, your Ed Sheerans, and they're like a 1% of the amount of artists and bands that there are out there who can't make a living out of it doing their own music. So I would say if you want to create, do it, and you know, enjoy it, but be aware that it's very, very hard to make money. And if you get management involved or record labels involved, they're going to take that cut off you even more.
Yeah, they're going to be having a couple of your cuts.
Yeah, of course. So I would say, you know, if you want to have a career in music where you can make a living from it, you've got to play cover versions.
Soul Jack have come to Runcorn. You've performed in Runcorn.
Yeah, way before I even considered living here. Yeah, like I say, we did a lot of gigs. So we played anywhere that we could, and I remember we booked this gig at Alchemy. I wouldn't have remembered the name of it at the time, but now that I've lived around here and I pass the place regular, you know, I know the venue. Yeah, it was very hit and miss with Soul Jacker in them days. I mean, literally that week, we played Alchemy in front of about 6 people, and about 4 or 5 days later played to a sold out Cavern Club in Liverpool. You know, so it was
it's
strange.
like spot the difference.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, the venue there, Alchemy here in Runcorn, it does have so much potential. It's got everything there to host bands and have some great acts on, but it just doesn't seem to be capitalised on, does it? And it doesn't seem to get full. It doesn't seem to attract the big names, and
no.
I don't know why. Because ours got it all there. It's right in the town centre. But it would be nice to see more interest in bands, you know. This is something else I found over the years. Certain areas have scenes more than others, you know. You go to Liverpool, there's a massive music scene, you know. There's gigs getting, you know, filled out every week. But then you go into the suburbs, like I say, you know, Runcorn, Widnes, and it's just not the same for some reason. It's just not the same. And I know that I'm comparing a city to a town there, but, you know, even like Chester is the same, you know. It just doesn't seem to be as much demand anymore for original music at grassroots level. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone would rather go and pay a ridiculous amount of money to see an established name like your Ed Sheerans or your Taylor Swifts, which they do.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Than go and see a local band in a local venue, or a smaller band that have travelled away, you know, to that. It's yeah, it was a bit of a sad one, that. One of the personal highlights of that gig was it gave some of my family members that lived in the area a chance to come and see me.
Come and see you.
Unfortunately, they didn't see us in front of much of a crowd, but they got to see us live, and they were all quite impressed, I think, with what we did. I remember once Soul Jacker did a gig down in Caerphilly in the middle of Wales, right? And we went down in the van, and when we got there, it was this venue, can't remember the name of it, and it was just in the middle of nowhere with mountains around it, you know, and greenery. And I remember when we were getting the gear out, I was thinking, who's going to come and watch us here, you know? where are the people going to come from? So we set up and we sound checked, and then when the venue opened, all these bikers turned up. It was like a lot of bikers went there, and the place was rammed then when we started playing, you know. So I don't understand how some venues in towns get no one, and then somewhere in the valleys gets, you know,
like a Son of Anarchy moment there.
It really was, and I was that stupid person as well that tried to get a photo on someone's Harley. So he was like, you know,
opportunity.
Yeah,
he
come out, and I thought he was going to chin me, and he was like, "Oh, you were in that band, you know, aren't you?" Yeah, you know.
You've done loads of work. You've even hit television.
Yeah. We've done some TV stuff, but mainly online stuff. But myself personally, way back when, and we're talking about 15 years ago, I did a bit of like TV extra work and acting and that, and I give it a go. I got a speaking part in Hollyoaks. That was probably my main highlight. Did some extra work in Emmerdale, extra work in Coronation Street. Did loads of TV commercials. I was the face of Amigos beer for a while. I was on every night on ITV2. There are other channels available. For a while when that TV show called Plebs was on. Yeah. It was like the idents, you know, against the commercials, and you wouldn't know it was me because I'm wearing a toga and an Aztec mask. If you look closely, you'll see it's me. I think it's on YouTube. I've even been in the odd film. I got a big break in a film called Dementomania. It was all funded by Film 4, and it was premiered at the Film 4 Fright Fest. However, I don't think it did much more than that. I've tried to find it myself online and DVDs and that, but it had Sam Roberts and Vincent Regan in, some bit from 300, and it was quite surreal, and getting that taste of that life. But again, it's a hard industry to crack.
Yeah.
And I did do quite a lot in a couple of years. Big extra work and little bit parts and things like that. But it was hard to sustain a living. You had to have a job as well, and then when you committed to a job as well, and you were getting calls for last minute things, you couldn't do them. I don't drive, so that was another obstacle in itself, having to rely on public transport, and some of these locations were quite rural as well. So I had a good crack at it. I did have a couple of casting calls, trying to get parts and things, but I didn't get them, and that was when I sort of threw the towel on that and went back to music.
The Josh Smith podcast show is here to help people with anxiety and depression. Andy can vouch for me that I've tried my best to get it out there as much as possible with the solo videos or the dual videos, whatever videos comes to my mind, because like I said about the brain, when that kicks in, even spontaneously doing something, that's a great word, that spontaneous, you spontaneously do something, but is it the right reasons, is it the wrong reasons? We all have our little ifs and buts. We have the two things on our shoulders, the angels and the demons, and that. And we use that because it's just it's easier just to explain how you're feeling, explain that you've got two voices going on, and then just picking which ones do I listen to.
Yeah, I've got borderline personality disorder, so that's very literal for me. I really do have two voices in my head quite often, telling me what to do and what not to do. And I can tell you now, my mind is not my friend.
No.
It's not. And if you're battling with your mind on a daily basis, it is really, really hard. It's really hard. So anything we can do, and you can do, to get this out there and try and spread that awareness, it needs to get out there. And I don't mean to be sexist in any way, but in particular men's mental health, it gets overlooked.
Yeah.
So much, and there is not enough help out there. The people that are trying to help are fantastic, and fair dues to them, keep it going. But there's still not enough. Are you aware of the Space Cafe in Runcorn Old Town?
I have seen, I'm on their page now following, finally managed to get onto the Facebook and go onto Space and check their all what they're doing and that, and they're doing a superb job.
It's superb. For anyone that doesn't know, I went for my first time on Tuesday morning with my NLP. I wouldn't have gone on my own. It was actually quite busy as well, but I did have it in the back of my mind that everyone was there for their own reasons, and it's for anyone in the Runcorn area. It's a cafe on Regent Street in Runcorn, and on a Thursday morning from 12 till 12 p.m. till midday, you can go and have a free coffee and have a chat, or not have a chat. I noticed there was a typewriter by the window, so you can go and write your thoughts or whatever you want to write, poetry, lyrics. And the people there, absolute hats off to them. They're doing a great job, and there needs to be more things like that.
Have you enjoyed your time on the talk show?
I have, mate. I always enjoy spending time with you. Yeah, I do. Like I say, I think this is great what you're doing, and I hope you can get some more people on, and I'll be keen to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.